These are prescription ADHD meds. This is a focus app I made for ADHD.
There's a new study out of California that shows adult ADHD diagnoses on the rise.
Number of diagnoses of ADHD in adults more than doubled.
Diagnosis of ADHD,
ADD and
prescription medications
ADHD
is
cases are all
ADHD is most often
ADHD.
Did you know that some people can just sit down and start working without watching a few YouTube videos or checking your Instagram feed? Yep, and that is definitely not me. And I know I'm not the only one. I'm sure you've seen hundreds of hilarious reels,
so I scroll for another 20 minutes.
and massively popular channels. In search of focus, I tried many productivity apps, unhealthy amount of coffee, and even medication. These did help me to a certain extent, but they each had its drawbacks, which always left me with more distractions. So, I did what any reasonable, maybe overly caffeinated person would do. Make yet another app. Will building another app completely cure my problem hundreds of other apps couldn't? Probably not. But it will be an app made by someone who actually understands the struggle on a daily basis. It will be based on years of trying dozens of methods, noticing their flaws, and thinking, maybe I could do this better. And maybe, just maybe, I'll be able to create the very tool I've been searching for. So, as always, my strategy is to keep and improve whatever works and eliminate things that don't. So I took a deep dive into methods that I've used the most. Let's start with Forest, the granddaddy of productivity apps. It's been around for nearly a decade, and it's still topping the chart with amazing metrics. And it really shows that simplicity wins it all. You're always just one button away from starting focus. Even I can't get distracted here. When a session's done, a tree is planted. More often than not, achieving a big goal can require months of patience without significant reward. So for the dopamine-starved ADHD minds, this instant digital foliage is definitely a genius idea. Now here's a curveball. Adorable Home. This is a game. Think of it like The Sims meets a cat collecting game. But I use it for a wildly different purpose. When work stress hits, I peek at my virtual home. Now this zen scene and chill music tells my delulu brain everything's fine. So instead of getting stressed and hence distracted, ending up on YouTube watching funny videos, I get a quick mental reset and easily get my focus back. Finally, we have Forget.
There's so many features like wrap day, plan mode, there's like overtime, daily goal, build habit. It's a jumble of features. I didn't even know some of them existed, but I still find myself coming back to this app because of this one feature, and it's called Hear It. Chimes every 1 minute to stay focused. Whenever the clock hits 0, it has that chime. A lot of times I would be working and I would open up a tab or go to YouTube to find some tutorials, and if I see an interesting video, I would click on it and then go down the rabbit hole of watching 200 more videos related to that. And I was never able to overcome that until the chimes came in. Every single minute I get that reminder of what I should be focusing on.
So I've organized all the things that I want to keep from these apps and quickly built a wireframe to make sure that my new app will have all these features. So today's design day. I try to hit up these hipster, borderline eccentric coffee shops when I'm designing, because I believe creativity comes from the unfamiliar. Well, anyway, before I start sounding like a pretentious old man, here's what I actually did. I came up with a few versions of the main screen and let the survival of the fittest do its job. I added some light mode and dark mode options, and then I put up the design on my phone to get a feel of what it would look like in real life. By the time my battery died, I had a whopping 2 screens done. But hey, this is the part that takes the longest, because these will basically act like an entire design system in corporate terms. Back home, I managed to crank out the rest of the screens. So let's dive in. Remember, I wanted to keep it as straightforward as Forest. Just one tap and you're focusing. Up top, we've got your session controls, where you can turn on and off the focus music, chime, or vibration if you really need the tap on your shoulder. Now, I wanted the experience to feel therapeutic, so when you kick off a focus session, the image goes full screen. So even if your desk is facing a gray wall, you can pretend you're somewhere nicer. Once you're done, you get this completion screen. It's got a summary of what you achieved and a little limerick. Back on the home screen, when you tap on the change room button, you'll see a bunch of focus rooms you can unlock. Last but not least, if you tap on this trophy in the corner, you'll get a highlight reel of all your small wins. The idea is to show that big wins happen one small step at a time. I was pretty happy with how it all turned out, closed my laptop and went to bed, blissfully unaware of the nightmare waiting the next day. For these online apps, I always start by setting up authentication and storage so that users can log in and save their progress. I went with the good old supabase and firebase crossover, which is what I'm most used to. I was able to set up iOS in literally less than 10 minutes. It was going breezy, maybe a little too breezy, because then came Android. For the next few hours, I tried every solution I could find, but whenever I tried, it only seemed to lead to another unfixable bug. But I tried to stay positive. I told myself, let's get a fresh start. So I deleted my 3-hour infantile project, went back home to go back to the drawing board. But things only went downward spiral from here. I thought with a blank slate it would work fine. When it didn't, I asked Claude and even our rusty old friend ChatGPT for help, but they were lost too. Before I knew it, the sun came down, and I didn't even have a single screen built. I felt like a total failure, having spent the entire day working on something I've done many times before. I had to get the frustration out of my system, so I went out for a run. And as I was running and pumping fresh oxygen into my brain, I started feeling hopeful again. I couldn't take back what happened, and there was no point sulking about it. I did not want this day to be labeled as a failure. In fact, a day is wasted until you make it not. It was getting close to midnight, but as long as I was awake, I had an upper hand. But I'm not a fool, and I knew this burst of motivation wouldn't last long. So I sprinted back home, looking like a sweaty but determined mess. I sat in front of my computer, and this time, I completely ignored my earlier failure. Instead, I jumped right into what I was most confident with, building the UI. And like magic, I had a working prototype. I rode this wave of productivity and connected all the focus data to my supabase cloud storage. It was 5 a.m. and I was tired, but just like that, I was suddenly much closer to finishing the app. For the last few days, I just needed to tweak my design details to make it pretty and usable. Now, I strongly believe that microinteractions take things to another level, just like this toilet sign in this cafe. I added some animations to the buttons and sliders, and this one makes it look like you're entering the focus room. I used my all-time favorite tools for animation to make this peaceful room for my paywall. Look how cute this kitty is. After finalizing the onboarding screen, it was only a matter of time till the app goes live.
Guys, it's about to happen.
They say millions of adults get diagnosed with ADHD every year. But at the end of the day, it's not the label that matters. What really matters is acknowledging that there are people out there, diagnosed or not, that simply want to be able to work, fold laundry, clean the bathroom, water the plants, and just get things done like others do. I get it. I've been there. Now, I'm not a doctor, and I'll never be able to diagnose or prescribe. But what I can do is share what I've learned, the things that's worked for me. And this app is just my own little journey in finding focus. So if you're tired of all the distractions and searching for focus, give this one a shot. Maybe we can transform our explosive minds from weakness into a superpower, 1 minute at a time.